Tense ceasefire negotiations ahead following an Israeli strike that killed the 3 sons of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh. The militant group says that the attack will not change its position on a possible temporary truce and hostage release deal. Mr. Haniyeh says that Hamas has, quote, clear and specific demands for agreeing to any pause in the fighting, including an end to the Israeli offensive and a complete withdrawal of its forces from Gaza. The Israeli military says that the 3 had been targeted as fighters and not as Haniyeh's sons. Israeli media, Walla, citing senior officials, said that the airstrike was carried out without consulting senior commanders or political leaders, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the defense minister. But it was coordinated by the Israeli military and the Shin Bet intelligence service. For more, Alex Cadier joins us. He's live for us from Tel Aviv. Alex, reports have come out that top leaders weren't consulted on the strike that targeted Ismail Haniyeh's family. What does this tell us about how Israel and its military are actually carrying out these fatal offensives?
Well, I think it's just important to keep it specific to this one offensive. We understand, as you said in that reporting from Walla, that this was treated as a tactical incident and therefore not a targeted strike because the 3 men were Haniyeh's sons or because of their role in Hamas's military wing, but rather because of intelligence that was imminent, because we've heard now from the Israeli Defense Forces and Shin Bet saying that they were en route to carry out terror activity in central Gaza. Now, we haven't had any details about exactly what that activity would have been or could have been, but clearly this was treated as a responsive attack rather than a preemptive strike. That's according, at least, to the Israeli Defense Forces and sources speaking to Walla, the Israeli news website. It does, of course, remind us of that strike just a week ago, or just over a week ago, I should say, on the aid workers, the World Central Kitchen aid workers, where there again that decision was not fed up the chain of command. Now, this is very, very different in terms of that strike. The IDF making it very clear the World Central Kitchen strike was a terrible mistake, and that this particular strike on Ismail Haniyeh's sons was a tactical decision made on the ground, made quickly. But as you rightly point out, there is still a lot of pressure on making sure that sensitive decisions made by the IDF are run up the chain of command, and so to avoid any mistakes being made.
Alex, away from Gaza, there are growing fears of an Iranian attack on Israel after the embassy bombing in Syria. What are major powers actually doing to head off this potential attack?
Well, we know the United States has been involved in diplomatic efforts since the strike on the consulate in Damascus, first telling Iran that it was not involved and then urging Iran not to escalate this conflict. We've seen a war of words between Iran and Israel, the supreme leader there saying that the punishment would be issued against Israel. The defense minister here saying a powerful response would happen if Iran were to strike in Israel. It would strike back in Iran. So that fear of escalation very, very present. We also know the United States has urged the foreign ministers of Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar and Iraq to reach out to their Iranian counterpart, the foreign minister there, urging against escalation in this conflict, trying to coordinate the Middle East into not having an all-out war, not having the kind of escalation that has been front of mind as a concern for the last few days and weeks. But certainly that pressure on Iran, on Israel, not to escalate the situation is there. Those diplomatic efforts are there, but the fear of escalation still remains front and center.
All right, Alex, thank you for that. Alex Cadier there in Tel Aviv.